First of all, I am an MD, and I am an ophthalmologist, which means I went through the same training as other eye surgeons. I've done all the various surgeries, and something bothered me while I was doing all this, because I'm not discounting Western medicine. Western medicine has done some wonderful things and saved people's lives and helped them with vision. But we weren't going to the source of the problem. When someone had a cataract, we removed it. We weren't looking at the source of why we have a cataract and how we reverse it. I saw too many people going blind without explanations. I wasn't satisfied putting glasses on people because I never considered this a cure, simply a transitional piece of equipment that would help them see until we understood what the problem is. I've also had a great deal of problems with my own eyes. I have worn glasses. My eyes got so bad in college I couldn't stand the light of a candle through sunglasses and a hat on the top of my head, and I had to hire readers to go through all my information because I was reading 12 to 16 hours a day to try to qualify for medical school. Now, if I just read as the normal, ordinary person did, I did not have problems. But I thought if I do not finish my exams, it won't be because I'm not smart enough, it'll be because my eyes are not strong enough. Well, my eyes were just fine, my stomach wasn't so good. Now that may sound kind of funny to you unless you begin to understand Oriental medicine. There is a meridian that goes straight up through your stomach and into your eyes. And every time I'd get worried or pushed, then my stomach would act up and my eyes would get bad. And now that I study Oriental medicine, I understand the electrical meridian phenomena. Most of my work is about working on the electrical grid. Now, I commend Bob Beck and his work. I also work with electromagnetic fields, and I also invent machines, and I'm reversing many forms of blindness. And we had the opportunity to speak at the beginning of this conference, and many things that he's finding out, I'm also finding out, but I'm not as big a name in the field of electromagnetic medicine as he is. And basically, truth is truth. We're coming at it from a little different areas. But my work does not stop just with the eyes. What I have learned both through natural techniques and through working with electromagnetic fields is how to reset the whole autonomic nervous system. If you have a chance, come up and look at this diagram that I have put up over here. This actually is a visual field from a woman who had diabetic retinopathy. Now, diabetic retinopathy is when the vessels inside the eye, because the vessels are breaking down and there's a lack of oxygen and there's bleeding inside the eye, there's a proliferation of microscopic vessels, which they call neovascularization. When these vessels break down, they bleed and they cause retinal detachments and scarring. So the common practice is that we need to, since there's not enough oxygen for all of the retina, the doctors will go in and save the central vision but laser everything else. It's all scarred. It's totally white when you look in there. And you may say this sounds a bit strange, but really they're doing it to save people's sight, because if they don't can do this, eventually there will be vascular breakdown and retinal detachments. Not that there isn't another way, but this is the way things are being done right now. This was a particular woman who had come to me who had diabetic retinopathy that, again, just a very small area in the back of the eye had not been lasered. Everything else was white and scarred. And her vision was probably about 2400, which is, at 20 feet away, she couldn't even see the big E. It had to be twice as big as that for her to be able to see at all. And so when people come to me, particularly new things like this, I cannot guarantee an absolute cure. I just work with them, and miracles happen every single day. What the field is down there, when you look at it, her first visual field was about this big. Then I worked with her with the electromagnetic fields, and it was this big. Then she came to a 5-day exercise class, which is what this book is that we've passed out to people, and her field became this big. And then we treated her for 2 more days thereafter, and her with electromagnetic fields, and her field became this big, okay? And when I originally wrote and put this manual together, it's for the whole kit with books, tapes, and videos, I had thought that all I was doing was teaching people how to get rid of their glasses. But I work not only with Western medicine, I work with Oriental medicine, and I spent 15 years with hands-on healers, and I'm like a synthesizer of information. I'm not saying that I've invented all this information. I'm simply a gatherer and a synthesizer, but then usually I come up with new conclusions, and so did Galileo, Copernicus, and Pasteur, all right? So, and I also realize that I'm getting help from above, you know. It's not just me, because what I'm being taught is way beyond what I ever expected, and particularly the machines that I've put together, they teach me every day. And so, when I work with people and I work with this particular system, we're not just working with the eyes, because you know this is not an eye problem. This is a digestive problem. In Oriental medicine, they will say, if you have an eye problem, you have liver and kidneys. They are having problems. But I also find, you know, when you lose your ability to see at near age 40, okay, sometimes you have created an electrical block in your body in the thymus or the thyroid or the pancreas. And when we relieve that electrical block, your vision again comes back. Why? Because you have an electrical meridian that goes right straight through here. Your whole body works on an electrical field. If you have a muscle that's not working, which is what happens when you lose your ability to see at age 40, you have an electrical muscle that is not contracting and expanding, and we're going to go through this, and I could probably teach you, most of you, how to get this back. But anyhow, with this particular manual, not only have we gotten people out of glasses, we have started reverse macular degeneration. We've started to reverse, like I said, the diabetic retinopathy. We've seen glaucoma and glaucoma fields get better, and we've seen pressures in the eye drop because of doing eye exercises. We've seen cataracts start to reverse. Now, again, people call me up and they want an instant cure over the phone yesterday for nothing, because I'm an alternative physician. Well, I'm a physician, not a magician, okay? And what I do is I work with real principles in the body as much as I possibly can. But we have a great phenomena, and this is the ability to heal our body. And this is what the hands-on healers taught me, okay? And you can do a lot of this for yourself, and this is not necessarily meant to replace your doctor, not at all. Your doctor has the skills to go in there and change your glasses and to diagnose, and I'm not telling anybody here, take your glasses off, throw away, and just be happy and everything's going to be fine. No. For some people this will work. There is such a thing as spontaneous cure, and I would never eliminate that possibility. But what usually happens, just like losing 50 pounds of weight, you have to have the same type of commitment, lifestyle change, attitudinal change. Because I can just change your attitude and your vision will get better. I can have you soak your feet and your vision will get better. I can put a hot pack on your back and your vision will get better. I can have you put your hands over your eyes and your vision will get better. I can massage your head and your vision will get better. Oh yes, and I can have you do some eye exercises and your vision will get better. So I want to explain to you a little bit of why this works and how to bring it back. And most of the people who are teaching vision improvement, unfortunately, are not ophthalmologists or optometrists. And I'm not saying anything against the people who are out there doing this. Thank God there's somebody out there exploring the field, okay? But you will find there are more and more ophthalmologists and optometrists who are interested. And if you came and you started doing this work and you kept on getting better and better and better, and they had to reduce your prescription, they would begin to realize that something is going on here. Part of the attitude in our field is that we cannot reverse the aging process. That at age 40, 45, you're going to have bifocals. There's nothing you can do about it, and it's just part of the aging process. But you know, the aging process is a series of diseases. It is a series of electrical blocks in the body, and it is an attitude. Okay? Because I made a decision when I was in my residency. I worked so hard and so long while everybody else my age was out there partying and have a good time. I said, I will not lose my youth to this experience. Okay? I saw other people losing their hair, getting glasses, getting divorces, etc. Okay? And I said, I will not let this affect my way. And all of my work is about reversing the aging process, okay? So not only can I teach you how to reverse problems in your eyes, we can now have access to start reversing every single organ in the entire body and resetting it. So first of all, I'm going to talk a little bit about why you have certain problems. So if anybody has picked up the book and is borrowing it, or you can use this and look over it, share it with as many people as you can. I'm going to teach you a little bit about why you have visual problems, and this is page 3-6. 3-6, so chapter 3, page 6. Now, what's going on right here? Why do you need reading glasses after the age of 40? Okay. You have a muscle inside your eye. It's a sphincter-like muscle. It looks very much like the retina, like the iris does, which contracts and expands to light. Well, right underneath there's a similar muscle, which is round and is a sphincter. But the reason we lose the ability for it to work is because we have all been taught very formally to read our books at about an arm's length. And if you ever were a kid and put it up here, your teacher would get very upset with you. And I'm not saying you should have it up here. You should have it here, 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 okay? You should continually be varying that distance. Because if you take any muscle in your body, then you haven't challenged it to its full work, that by the age of 40, it's going to start deteriorating. That's where pot bellies come from. Anybody with a pot belly, if you started exercising, doing sit-ups, age 40, 50, 60, things would start strengthening up. Okay? Now, what happens when you go to the eye doctor, and yes, you have a visual problem, all right? And he puts you or she puts you in a pair of reading glasses. Now, I'll put people in reading glasses too, but I undercorrect you if you need them, and I start you doing exercises instead. And most people, I can get them out if there hasn't been too much change in the lens. Even there are points where I can't do anything with it because there are changes in the lenses, but you know, early changes are reversible. Late changes are difficult, so the sooner that you start doing this, the absolute better. But the ciliary body, that circular muscle, what happens when you get a pair of glasses, yes, you can read very well, and within a month's time you begin to realize that sometimes before you could read without your glasses, now you can't read at all without them. Secondly, every time you go to see your eye doctor, once a year, they get stronger and stronger and stronger, okay? So you lose your ability to focus at near, and by the way, I want you to look down here. The lens is suspended by this muscle 360 degrees, okay? The lens has no blood supply of its own. The only way that it cleanses itself is through the fluid that's made by the ciliary body. It's called the aqueous humor. So the aqueous humor is made by a muscle. When you use your bifocals, your muscle doesn't work. It was a weak muscle, now you've paralyzed it, okay? Now, so you're losing your ability to focus. You're now beginning the change, which is called a cataract, because that lens can no longer cleanse itself. All right? But you're also accelerating glaucoma. Why? Because there is a connection between this muscle and a little channel up above called Schlemm's canal. Where the cornea and the iris come together, there's a channel, 360 degrees. And it's a series of membranes, and every time this muscle contracts underneath it, it pulls on that system. And it drops your pressure and probably thins out the membranes, and more fluid can go out of the eye. Because fluid's being made in the eye all the time, it also has to go out of the eye. If it does not go out of the eye, it will put pressure on the back of the optic nerve right here, and it will start destroying your ability to see. Okay, so you lose your focus for near, you start getting cataracts, and you are predisposed to glaucoma. This part right in the back is called the vitreous body. It's a gel. It's 99% water, but 1% protein. How does it hydrate itself? The aqueous humor. So if you're getting those little floater dealy bobs, okay, and your doctor says, I'm sorry, they're not reversible, wrong. Okay? They are reversible. It's just like if you had a bag filled with fluid, all right? And that fluid started going away, a plastic bag, the wrinkles of the plastic bag become more apparent. Well, this is what's happening. The vitreous is wrinkling because anything that decreases your circulation, coffee, alcohol, stress, bad foods, eating fried things that have taken all the fluids out. You know, the Orientals talk about yin and yang. Yin is fluid, that which is nutritive, and it's not just 8 glasses of water a day. Your spit is much different than water, isn't it? Okay? Your spit's much similar to the juice of a peach. Okay? So we need to start changing our diet to bring more yin into our diet, and that's fresh fruits and vegetables and juices. Not canned, not frozen, not microwaved. All right? And And this, the vitreous, when it becomes too dehydrated, it pulls from the back of the retina. And so then sometimes you get these little sparkly things going on. But if it pulls really hard in an area that's attached to the retina, it can cause a hole. And then this aqueous humor goes into the hole and it rips the retina right off the back of the eye, okay? So your bifocals may be accelerating the possibility of a retinal detachment. Now I'm going to say this last thing, which may seem a little bit radical, and I do not have thousands of doctors across the United States working with me, so I'm just going to propose a theory. And the theory is, if anybody has your book, look on the next page, and it's 3-7, and what we have here is the back of the eye. And here's the optic nerve, okay? And right next to it is the macula. Now if you look at that, all the vessels, when they come off the optic nerve over here, they reach over to the macula, but they never quite come to the macula in the center. And why is that? Because if they did, you'd have all these vessels that would be going right to the center of your vision, and you wouldn't be able to see very well. The irony of this is, again, remember, the eye is the brain. It is not a peripheral organ. It's an outpouching of the same area as the pituitary, called the diencephalon, okay? It has one of the highest needs of energy, circulation, and nutrition, but it has one of the poorest circulations. Not only is it poor on the surface, but underneath it, it stops short and goes out of the way, okay? So what other area does it get some nutrition from? I think the aqueous humor. Because when you get from cell to cell, any person who has dry skin and you put a little moisturizer on it, the skin will absorb it. Well, if your surface skin can absorb it, your moist cells inside your body can take in fluids also. So I, again, think your bifocals may possibly cause you to lose your ability to focus for near, accelerate the beginning of cataracts, accelerate glaucoma, floaters, vitreous detachments, retinal detachments, and possibly macular degeneration. Now, people can poo-poo me, but I'm probably one of the few ophthalmologists in the entire country who is reversing macular degeneration, okay? And I do it through nutrition, I do it through exercises, I do it through herbs and electromagnetic fields. And again, much to my surprise, when I started working with these kids, I started having people coming into my class, and we would start mapping their visual field by hand, not with instruments, because this is a very sensitive thing, and 1 second you could have a spot there and 1 second not, just because of the way people are breathing and oxygenating yourself. And the machine doesn't pick up those fine nuances. And when I would be in these classes, we would have one lady, she had, if you looked at a sheet like this and like this, she had fields of blockage about like my hands on both sides here. And by the end of a 2-day class, they were almost totally gone. I was blown away. But I just, out of curiosity, started mapping the visual field. Now, I was lucky enough to speak several months ago, I think it was sometime in the spring, to the local Global Sciences. And one of the ladies in the audience came and worked with me. And I think she went from about 2,400 in one eye to about 20/30 or so, and I think the other eye was about 2,200 and went to 20/20. And I'd like her just to put her hand up right here. And this is, can I say your name? Okay, Winifred Mater. And she'd be happy to speak to anybody who would like to talk, because one thing that will convince you more than what I have to say is someone who's actually, this has happened. Now, everybody's not going to have that success, but I have learned that if you want to come to me, don't send me your photographs in your eye. I'll say, yes, you have macular degeneration. Okay, but I don't know if I can help you if you don't come to me, and I only know if I can help you if I work with you. Because I can look inside there, and yes, it looks white, it looks destroyed, it looks like there's no vascular underneath there. Yeah, the doctor's right, this is a correct diagnosis. But what they kind of forget is the nerves are clear. Do you understand what I'm saying? That the vessels underneath are what are gone, but the nerves are long. So someplace along the track of that nerve, it's getting nourishment, and basically what we have to do with some of those nerves is reverse the swelling. They're not dead nerves. A lot of them are dead, but you've got over 2 million nerves inside each eye. If I can bring it back 10%, we can get you some vision that you can have a life with again. So usually in a week to 2 weeks' time, I can double, if not quadruple, whatever vision you come to. So if it's really poor, you know, it's going to be harder for me to bring vision back. But I have one woman right now who I'm working with, and she comes and does a couple treatments every week, and she's gone from count fingers at 3 feet to 20/40 in that eye. Okay? That's drivable vision. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you some things to do for yourself, all right? So what I'd like you to do is, again, if you have this book, go to page 311. And these show the muscles in the back of the eye. Now what I've done is I've created an understanding. I can tell you which muscles make you nearsighted and which muscles make you farsighted and which one you lose your focusing ability. And what happens is there's the nearsighted, and I'm sure you've heard of a person named Bates. Dr. Bates was an ophthalmologist in the 20s and 30s, and Dr. Bates basically said that the reason we lose our ability to see is because there's too much tension on the muscles. It's the same type of tension that causes your jaw to be tight or your neck to be tight. But it also goes up into your eyes through the oriental meridians. And you can trace these oriental meridians right into the eyes, and you can trace them right through the organs and see that, let's say if you're really upset or you've had an injury in part of your body, or you have maybe some toxic reactions in that organ is not going to let the energy flow freely. Now the Orientals have something that they call liver fire, okay? Well, obviously the energy's too high in the liver, all right? And that type of person probably would be a little bit more irritable, a little bit more impatient, a little bit angry. Sound like anybody you know? Okay. Now, that same thing will then go into the eyes and will reset your muscles. It's an electrical phenomena, because I can work right here, or I can work right on the organ itself before it ever gets up into the head. And as long as we relieve that electrical tension, change your attitude and your food and your nutrition, your eyes are going to get better. So if you are nearsighted, your eye is too long. Your doctor's right, your eye's too long. But why is it too long? Okay, they say it's because that the cornea is curved too much. Well, if I had a balloon and if I put my hand on the top of it and the bottom of it and squished, it would elongate that balloon, wouldn't it? And both ends, both the front and the back, would have a greater curvature than it did before. Okay, well, you've heard of radiokeratotomy, and they go in there and they make about 8 slits in the cornea, or now they're doing some new stuff with laser. And some people have great vision for a couple of years. Okay? If they do it with the surgery, I mean, see, I'm doing the same thing, but I'm changing the vision with the muscles in the back of the eye, which I think was the cause in the first place. Because what will happen is people will have good vision for, you know, and some people maybe for many years. But 60% of the people still wear glasses. Most of the people lose their ability to focus at near a much earlier age. I have people who've had bilateral retinal detachments happen 8 years later, but they look at the literature and the frequency has increased. Pigmentary glaucoma, which is almost impossible to treat. Then they have to have multiple surgeries. People have had ruptured globes just from car accidents. The cuts never totally heal. They have corneal breakdown. Even with the laser surgery, people think, oh, laser isn't surgery. I don't think so. They can cut cars in half with a laser, okay? And when they take all the epithelium, that's the surface of the cornea, off, sometimes it has difficulty growing back on. And then years later, you could open your eyes one morning and you've re-torn the epithelia right off. You've got a recurrent erosion, which can happen again and again and again. Now, my work could, even if they have the surgery, I can still work with people and teach them how to reshape the eye. But before they were nearsighted, now they're farsighted, so I work on their eyes if it were farsighted, even though it was naturally nearsighted. I really can't answer questions when I'm going through my lecture, but I'll be here all the time. I'd be happy to do that. So what is happening is that the oblique muscles, the superior and the inferior oblique muscles, the superior oblique comes straight from the back of the eye, hooks on a little point. See, I want you to see right where my fingers are right now. It's a very special point. Put your fingers right up here, okay? And it's about a ½ an inch back. And you're going to feel, a lot of you are going to feel a little sore spot. You're going to feel a little nubbin in there. And the superior oblique muscle comes forward. It goes to this little pulley called the trochlea, and the tendon flips over the top of the eye. How many people are nearsighted here? Okay, that's your culprit. Okay, I'm going to teach you some exercises right now. if you would look first, check your vision, and if you can do this without your glasses, I would prefer, all right? And just check and see how far down you can go. I also handed out that little sheet of paper with an eye chart, and check your vision for near. Now, if you're wearing bifocals, do not check it with your bifocal, but you can look through the top of your glasses or no glasses at all. All right? So did everybody get the little one that has all the numbers on, like the little eye chart? Okay, there's bunches, maybe you can check it with your neighbor, okay? All right, now, if you're going to check it and if you have difficulty seeing, hold it at an arm's length, all right? Because the nearer you get, it's going to be more difficult to see if you have some problems, okay? So what we're going to do a series of exercises. All I'm having you do is check your vision before and after for both distance and near, and you'll see that even in this class, your vision is going to get a little bit better. Okay, so check it for distance. How far down can you go? Each eye individually, because your vision can be very different in both eyes. Okay, and check each eye individually on this. And just read the first line down on each line, just to get kind of a baseline. And I'm going to have you work on some acupuncture points. But I'm going to explain a little bit more about the shape of the eye first. But I want you to remember at what line, how far did you go down? And then we're going to start doing some acupressure exercises. So I've explained a little bit about nearsightedness. It's superior and inferior oblique are squeezing, making the eye too long. Okay? Farsightedness is the different set of muscles which come from the back of the eye called the rectus muscles, and they're squeezing the back of the eye and making it too short. All right? And then we talked about losing your ability to see for near, and that's the ciliary body. That's the muscle inside the eye. Now, if you have, again, the kit, I'm going to have you look at page 6-5. If not, I'm going to explain your way through this, all right? Now, the point that we're going to work with to start reversing problems with nearsightedness, I call point number 7, okay? And in Oriental medicine, this is urinary bladder point 2. And again, we're going to put our thumbs back at this particular point right up here. This is for nearsighted people only. Farsighted people, I have different instructions for you, okay? The nearsighted people are going to go to that point, put your thumbs up there, and gently, you don't press on the eye, you press on the bone up there, and go press 1 second, release 1 second. Press 1 second, release 1 second. Keep doing it while I'm talking for 100 times. Now, far-sighted people, we're going to go to a different point. Your point is right over here because you have a different set of muscles. A far-sighted person sees better at far than for near without glasses. So you go press 1 second, release 1 second. So nearsighted people, you're still doing this point. Far-sighted people, you're doing this point at the temples right here. Press 1 second, release 1 second. Do it for 100 times. Okay, keep on doing it. And what you're doing is you're resetting that electrical meridian. There are 2 different electrical meridians that we're talking about right now. For the nearsighted people, the electrical meridian comes up your back. It's called the urinary bladder meridian. It catches energy from every organ as the nerves go off the spine, and then those organs have a feedback information back to the brain. So if any of those organs are running at a tempo that's a little bit too high, and most people who are nearsighted, it's usually the adrenals are stressed out, and they usually have an energy block between where the neck and the brain come together. And a lot of people will say, yes, I hold a lot of tension there. And a lot of people, I'm sure, have been with masseuses and had the massage done on the neck area, and their vision has gotten better, okay? Whereas the far-sighted people, when you're working on this particular point right here, your tension is coming up what's called the gallbladder meridian, which comes up both sides of the body, goes to the back, comes forward, back and forth, and so each laterally, which is also the reasons a lot of people get migraines, goes into the jaw. These same type of people will have tight jaws a lot of times, and then into the eyes, okay? Now, so if you've done it about 100 times, check your vision here, okay? And also check the near vision chart. And so now, if you're having problems reading at near because your ciliary body is not working very well, your point is right straight below the eye. And if you have this chart right here, the point that we work on is point number 3. Now this is the end point of the stomach meridian. Remember I said I had problems with my stomach? okay? And my problem was I didn't focus well for near when I did all this reading. But again, I had electrical blocks in my stomach. They're called, I don't reveal this to the public very much, they're called ulcers. I had them at age 10. But after I learned how to what the problem was and learned this electrical system and how to get rid of this, I don't have them anymore. Okay? Because your emotions are causing electrical changes, which are causing electrical blocks, which cause biochemical changes, which cause physical changes. It's called disease and aging. Okay? Now, this point is that we do a different thing with this. You put your fingers straight down below the pupil, right on the bone right here, and this time I want you to just gently wiggle it. Just gently wiggle it. And what we're doing is we're energizing what's called the ciliary body. Remember we talked about that? The ciliary body. Now, there's a real nerve inside the eye. It's the fifth cranial nerve, and it splits off behind the back of the eye, and a part of it goes inside the eye to the ciliary body, and the other nerve part of it comes right here. So when you're doing this little shaking thing right here, it causes that particular energy level to increase. You see, through what I've discovered with the Oriental system and the acupuncture meridians, we have these energy meridians, and the acupuncture points are like rheostats. Now, they can put needles in, and they can turn them one way, clockwise, stimulates, counterclockwise, sedates, okay? Well, I began to realize that we can also do this with our own fingers. The press 1 second, release 1 second, that relaxes. Whereas rubbing very gently, you don't have to go very far. You can just rub just at a little point, okay? And that stimulates, okay? Now, just from, I know we've only done this for a little bit, and don't expect me to change in 2 minutes a lifetime of changes in your eyes, but how many people saw some improvement? Just raise your hands, okay? Good, all right. So each time that we go through each exercise, you'll get a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. And I don't say that every single exercise is going to work with everybody. Everybody is different. Now, your next exercise, again, is going to be more of a kind of a Western exercise, and it's going to be to teach you how to get the ciliary body contracting. But remember, if you get the ciliary body contracting again, you're helping get your focus back for near. You're also helping with cataracts, glaucoma, floaters, and possibly preventing vitreous and retinal detachments, and maybe helping yourself from macular degeneration. So, everybody has the proper equipment in here already. You don't have to buy anything. Put your thumb out here. I want you to look at the wrinkles on your thumb. Again, try to do this through the top part of your glasses, not the bifocal, all right? And look at the wrinkles on your thumb. Bring it towards you until the wrinkles get blurry. Do it slowly enough so you find just the point where it gets blurry, and then stop and take some long, slow, deep breaths. And you might have to take several long, slow, deep breaths. And then when it clears, bring it a little bit closer, and the closer you get, the more long, slow, deep breaths you're going to have to take. And you notice I'm not telling you about it, I'm doing it. That's why I don't have any problems with my eyes. People ask me if I wear glasses. No, my eyes are like an eagle, for both distance and near. I tell my son I can see through walls, so he has to behave, but. And bring it all the way up to your eyes as far as you possibly can. And then you'll feel a little pull inside your eye. That's that muscle. And it might hurt because it hasn't worked much lately. Then bring it off to the distance and look to the distance, okay? Normally I'd have you do that about 3 times. Check the near vision chart again. And also check your distance. To my surprise, sometimes that helps your distance vision. Do we have some people who see that you've gained a line? Don't be shy. Come on. Yes. Okay. Got a lot of people here. Okay. So, but, you know, sometimes working with all these various points is very complicating. Who can remember what point to press and release and where it is and what meridian it goes to? That's really complicated. So I made it simpler, okay? And this is on page 642. But you don't need this. I'll teach you how to do it. All right? And what this is I've created a massage pattern that hits probably 90% of the acupuncture points. So you don't have to know to press, to release, to stimulate, to sedate. Just have to do it, okay? But it has some other effects too. It'll help nearsightedness, farsightedness, astigmatism. I know everybody comes to me and goes, but I have astigmatism. Ooh. Astigmatism just means that one more muscle than another is holding more tension, and it's just not evenly spread out across the eyes. And usually that's easier to get rid of than when it's the same in all directions, okay? And it will help get you your ability to see for near. It even helps circulation in the brain, and even people with dyslexia, because a lot of times dyslexia is a circulatory problem, particularly with the parietal lobes back here, because that's where we sort out information. And by the way, you don't see with your eyes. You see with the back of your head. Okay? These are just receptors, and everything gets sorted out back here. Okay? So, what I want you to do is just follow me, and we're going to do a little circular massage. Put your fingers right here on the right where the eyes, on the lateral part, and do it in the same direction, and it's going to be sweeping from below and up in the center. So just make really gentle sweeps, and just go around the bone, but not on the eye. Just right where the bone and the eye come together, and make about 10 sweeps right around here. Oh, I forgot to tell you, there's another side effect to this. It's a natural facelift. I saw a few more people start doing it. Okay, and do it with me, because this is not an intellectual pursuit. If you don't do it, you won't see the effects. So we make nice, gentle, and be gentle, because this is all, it's what you're really doing is changing an electrical phenomena, and you're allowing things to kind of balance out, all right? And so then your next circle, you're going to go into your eyebrows, and you're going to sweep over the arch of the eyebrows laterally, and then go down through the middle of your cheek, and make nice round circles. And then your next circle, you go about 2/3 above the eyebrow, go over to your temples, underneath the cheekbones, and up. Now in Oriental medicine, the energy goes up the front and down the back, which is why we make our center sweep up. And doesn't this feel relaxing? And it's also resetting all the oriental meridians that are going up into your eyes. And I used to think there were just 3, but I'm now discovering there are a lot of internal connections that go into the eyes too. Now your next circle, go 2/3 up, over in front of your ears, and going down, and this will help hearing too, and to the jaw, and up. This looks silly, but it's not. Mm-hmm. And you're starting to feel your face tingle a little bit. One thing that they found, they did some research in people all over the world who had very long lives to see what they had that was a common thing. They all massaged their skin for one thing. Next thing, go up to your hairline, or where your hairline used to be. Come on down. Now if you have hearing problems, go in back of your ear, and then down to your collarbone, and then center and up. You can go in front of your ear too. But if you have hearing problems, go behind your ears. You're actually stimulating some meridians there. And down to your collarbone, and through the center of the collarbone, and come up. Now the next thing, please don't be shy, particularly the women, all right? Get your hands in there. I want you to go straight back from center, because you have 2 meridians right here, and make some big circles, okay? I call this my Bridget Bardot exercise. You can always tell I'm seeing patients. My hair is messy. I used to never think that medicine was funny until I started having my own practice. And now go into the back, straighten the back, down the center. And into the neck. You hold a lot of tension in your neck, which goes into your eyes. and into your shoulders. In the back, you're going down because the energy goes down in the back, okay? Down in the back, okay? And then up in the neck and go up in the front in the neck. Big circles around here. Again, we're working on energy blocks. And check your vision for both distance and near. How are we doing? Was that good? Okay. Now, a lot of times when people will come to me, some people come to me with a prove to me type of attitude. Okay? So, have I proved anything to you yet? That it's very simple. Now, what you do today and the improvement that you have, I've had people complain to me before because then they put their glasses on and the glasses are too strong. I'm sorry. One of the first things I do when you come to me is I start reducing your glasses. I want to know that you can see 20/20, but then, because I want to know that there's no organic problems, this is why you need to see your doctor. You need to know you don't have a cataract. You need to know you don't have glaucoma. You need to know you don't have a tumor. You can't diagnose that by yourself. You still need your doctor's help. But there are many ways after you get a diagnosis to work with it, right? And I'm just offering you another possibility. Now, not everybody is self-motivated, so I'm not saying that this works for everybody. And I get all sorts of people say, can you guarantee? Well, I can, and they want to know percentages. I teach thousands of people across the United States. I probably have 30 national lectures. I'm on radio shows all over the place. I can't guarantee that if you're overweight, you're going to lose weight. I can tell you what to do. But what I can say is if people do 10 to 15 minutes of exercises a day, of the people I have followed, they improve about a quarter diopter a month or 3 diopters in a year. Now, what does all this mean? Okay? If the back of your eye changed the distance by 1 millimeter from what was normal, you would have a 3 diopter correction and you wouldn't be able to see the big E up here. But 1 millimeter is not very much, is it? But it's significant in refractively. And I've gotten people out of as much as 10 diopters of correction. Now, someone who has 10 diopters of correction cannot see beyond their finger this near to their nose. And of course, they've been told that they're legally blind without their glasses, and they are. And the particular man that I worked with was not a flaky person. He was a account executive, international banker, and he said one day, it's the first time I've ever seen my toes without my glasses. Okay? Now, he finally got so good at it. In these kits, we have books, tapes, and videos, and people always go, well, why do you have these tapes? Okay? Because even just listening to the tapes and doing nothing else, it will reset your tension. We tell you how to mentally reset every organ in your body. And there is a self-hypnosis tape. You don't go into a trance, but it says if you're nearsighted, tell your muscles to do this. If you're farsighted, tell your muscles to do that. And he used to just sit on his breaks in his office and imagine the change in his eye and what happened. He worked with me probably for about 3 years, and by the 3rd year, he was just imagining the change and things would get better. So I'm telling you, this is possible. All right? And your emotions have a great deal to do with it, because your emotions reset your body, okay? Now, if you're particularly anxious, you probably are nearsighted. If you're particularly have a fiery temper and you are angry a lot of times, you're probably farsighted. And that just depends on which emotion is strongest. And you're probably the most like the parent who has the personality that you mimic, and you probably have the same refractive problems. They have seen in people who have multiple personalities, and multiple personality can change instantly, that one personality is nearsighted, one personality is farsighted. So when some people say you can get rid of your glasses instantly, yes, you can. If you know, and people say, do I have to do these exercises forever? No, when you change your personality, and when you change the negative things about you, and when you kind of flow through life, and when you learn to forgive, forgiveness is divine, right? Well, you have to forgive both yourself and the other people who have caused you the pain. and realize that, does this anger serve me anymore? Not unless you're saving your family or a child or something major. You know, even the fights that we have to go through politically and to save our herbs and all sorts of reasons, don't go with it with anger, but go with it with understanding and education. All right? When you go to your eye doctors, and if you take my kits and work with them, go with understanding, okay? They have the tools to help you. They just don't quite realize it. There's nothing that I do different than another ophthalmologist, except open my mind a little bit more. Okay? But they have the tools, and sometimes you might have to call around until you find someone. Just say, look, would you reduce my glasses to 20/20? That's not going to jeopardize their license. It may kind of challenge their mind, but it's not going to jeopardize their license. And if you do the exercises and come back 6 weeks or 3 months later and they have to reduce your glasses, they're going to learn, aren't they? And they're going to keep doing it. And I have one woman who came, and she comes about every 2 weeks from Wyoming. I'm up in Boulder, Colorado, anyhow, if anybody wants to get in touch with me. And my number's all over the pages right there that I've handed out. But I'm getting my number out really quick. It's 303-449-6162, if anybody needs to get a hold of me. 303-449-6162. But anyhow, not only have we gotten her off of all of her glaucoma meds, and her pressure's normal now, but we've practically got her out of her glasses. You know, I've got 5 more minutes. We're also putting out a magazine, and it's called Life Force. And I would like my partner just to put his hand up right over here. And it's going to center on scientists and doctors and new findings and how politics works in our life and our health and environmental issues and good, family, environmental type stuff. And we're looking for people with good articles, ideas, people who want to present their products, etc. And so if anybody's interested, please talk to him. He's a wonderful man named Bob Williams. I've handed out my materials, and I do classes, and you can see where it is. I also do consultations over the phone, and I also do consultations in my office. My work goes way beyond the eyes. I've brought people out of comas. I've got people who are paralyzed walking. Now, I can't guarantee this. It depends on the amount of damage. But again, I work on the theory that not all the nerves are dead. They're simply swollen. And I learned this in my own education in ophthalmology. When someone has multiple sclerosis, the nerve becomes swollen, and if they use cortisone, the swelling goes away and the vision comes back much faster. Well, there's many ways to reproduce that. That was just the awakening to show me that how it can be done. Now, the same type of swelling can be removed from the other parts of the body. The organs, the temple of every organ can be reset. We're working in learning how to reverse diabetes, inguinal hernias, help mitral valve prolapse. I mean, I could go on and on. We have the ability to reset every organ in the entire body. And you know what? When you get people out of bifocals, and I see this time and time again, they start getting younger. Why do they get younger? Your attitude changes, okay? When your attitude changes, you reset your whole organ. You find anybody who's fallen in love and their attitude changes no matter what age, and you go, hey, what's going on? Have you got new makeup on? Have you been on vacation? No, they're in love. And when you're in love and you truly love someone, and I'm tingling all over so I know it's right, That's the way they kind of tell me. That your whole body opens up. And what we have to realize is it is our own emotions which shut us down, okay? And I'm going to say, call me a little preachy. I'm going to get preachy for a second, okay? And I don't care what your religion, but when Jesus healed, he said, now, go and sin no more. Now, what is sin but anything that takes you away from being happy, joyful, that takes you away from the higher and divine force? And I'm going to not tell you what to think and who that is and what it's supposed to look like. But I do know this for certain. The people who have had spontaneous regressions of anything have not only changed their food, they've changed their mind. And you know that. Because when someone goes into and gets cured of cancer, they won't keep it unless they change nutritionally, physically, and mentally. And you know that. Okay? And to me, that's what that means. And you have to take it in on yourself. Because when I have a class, I divide everybody up into twos. And if I guess I'm having a workshop Sunday night at 6:30, and we'll go through a lot. And I'm going to teach you more about your own organs. I'm going to teach you how to, with your own hands, how to reset the electrical meridians of your entire body. This is not just about your own eyes. But I do an exercise where I pair you up. One person speaks, the other one listens. The speaker talks about the worst things that have ever happened to him, and the other person listens on an emotional level. We stop, both their vision has gone down. The speaker and the listener. Does this sound familiar? It's called 6 o'clock news. Okay? Now, then I reverse it, and I have the person who is listening now becomes the speaker, and the other one is the listener, and that person talks about the best things that have ever happened. What happens? Vision gets better. Okay? But you're doing this not only to your eyes, you're doing it to your entire body and your electrical field. Because I can guarantee you, if you spent 1 to 2 days with me in one of my classes, your body would be tingling with excitement when you got over. Now, the tough thing about that is, how do you take that home with you? First of all, you stop complaining and bitching so much. Sorry. That's the truth, okay? When you go home and they say, honey, what happened today? You start talking about the best things that happened and realize that the bad stuff you leave behind. You don't bring it into the home and repeat it. Because every time you do, you reinfect the body with that negative vibration, okay? Now, these kits will be over. My booth is over there. If people want to talk about it, they have books, tapes, and videos, and we'll talk about everything. Thank you so much for having me here. And we have a 6:30 Sunday night workshop.
Yes, right. Her workshop's Sunday night. Okay.